Hey everybody, this is just more of a corrections update than anything else. So bear with me. First off, everybody pointed out in the comments really early on that pretty much rolling for the Quinjet is a may, not a mandatory effect. So there is that. The other thing is that when we read Danny the Street, it says at the beginning of each player's turn, roll 1d6. And on a 1 through 2, characters can't move horizontally or vertically this turn. 3 through 4, characters can't move diagonally this turn. 5 through 6, no effect. So here's the problem. Danny the Street is not optional. And it still has to happen at the beginning of turn. You can call in, you could even free action Tony Zuko. You can even perplex, but you couldn't attack unless Danny the Street was actually resolved, because there is no may in Danny the Street and it has to resolve. So again, this is things where they get really frustrating. If we end up saying that, hey, a person can skip over Danny the Street, then before the attack, then he wouldn't have to roll for Danny the Street. But even if you move or don't move, you have to roll for Danny the Street according to the wording of it. So, yeah, that actually creates things a little bit more complicated than I thought it would be, because initially in my analysis, I thought Danny the Street wouldn't come into play because there was no movement taking place. But it seems that regardless if there's movement or not, Danny the Street has to be rolled for. So, would have Easton been able to make an attack? Technically, no, because he still would have to roll for Danny the Street before he can resolve into his attack action. Just because there is no may in at the beginning of each player's turn, roll 1d6. There's not. So, that I wouldn't. Now the question comes in: is that an action? Now, if this is not an action, then when last action is called, you could still make an argument for the attack being the action. Okay? So, there is that. Also, Lord Cardinal sent me a link on my phone, and I magically can't get it into my YouTube real easily, so bear with me. Pretty much it was if you look up shape change, and this is something I found interesting when he sent me this link, and I'm going to read what it says so I'm not getting anything twisted. Okay, so this guy writes in the thread called, this literally called shape change. Okay, there's a couple of things in this thread which I find very, very interesting. Anyway, so here's the question the guy asked. He says, hello, is shape change optional? And then WizKids on November 9th, 2015, so almost a year ago, said, yes, you may choose to roll or not roll for shape change when targeted by an attack. Okay. That's a very interesting ruling for a couple of reasons. Number one, when I was cited by Norm says shape change has to go off. But here's the thing: when we go back and we look at, what I was told by Norm, and then versus what the actual powers and abilities card currently says, and I am going off of the WizKids website. Says when this character is chosen as the target of an attack, you may roll a d6. It says it right there. So it's not an effect that has to resolve, but it is a effect that you should be able to roll. So you could choose not to use shape change if you want to be hit, but you do have the option as a player, if a person does sort of rush past, to try to say, hey, I have shape change. So you do have that right as a player. So what does all this sort of like wrap up and mean? Number one, things are a lot more complicated than they should be at this stage of the game. Just being 100. Number two, yep, I made some mistakes. I don't have a problem admitting that I made mistakes. And I think that's one of the main reasons you all come back and listen to me, is that I will be honest when I made a mistake and correct myself when I was wrong. Also, I think when it comes down to it, this whole issue that happened at Rocktober is a lot more complicated. And I would say anybody that was going to get anything 100% right in this situation, you spend a ton of time, more time than I do, studying, heroclix, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But this, I see too many problems. I see way too many problems. Not just how everything went down, but where we could still say right now, maybe this should have gone this way, maybe this other thing should have gone this way. And even with timings, how do things, resolve, blah, 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 blah. Like, it's not the best situation. And so that's frustrating. So anyway, that's it. Again, I apologize for sort of the misspeak in the main episode. If you haven't listened to the main episode, feel free to go ahead, go through the main episode. There's some cool video at the end. I still try to have some cool pointers about how everything should go down, or even more lessons that you should learn from this episode. That's the best way I can say it. This is a whole episode. So I'm frustrated. I know a lot of other people are frustrated about everything. So hopefully by this time next year, everything's resolved, and I think we'll be a better community, hopefully, when all's said and done. All right, that's it. Thanks again for listening, and like I said before, I apologize for the misspeak. It's just the moment when it's sort of clear, like, hey, look, here's some stuff that has to go down, and then you're told that by an authority, and then you find out, like, oh yeah, that's not true, which makes me now question the legitimacy of me. It makes me question the legitimacy of some other rulings that I was told this last time at Origins. So all right, that's it. Thanks for listening again, and I'll check you all later.